Let's take a look at the Genesis Scandi from L.T.Wright knives.
I feel it, I touch it, from here to nowhere, shadows and riders of chaos. I'm going undercover in the cold. You are frozen to the here to nowhere, standing on the road where the spirits can be going under. Down on your knees after sailing many seas. Talk to the trees, ask the ground to set you free. Going undercover, from here to nowhere, shadows and riders of chaos. I'm going undercover. Here in the cold, you are frozen to the here to nowhere, standing on the road where the spirits can be showing. Set you free. Here the storm is coming to blow on the coming, dark horses, the thunder is rolling. Shaking, it all looks so unreal. Waters are moving, leaves are broken. Blackbirds left trees and just disappear. Oh, it's raining on our bodies to release from the fears.
Hi guys, well, long time no see, but today I have a knife I want to test and review. I have already tested it on light chores at home for what I call general cutting, meaning cutting mostly food, bacon, meat and stuff like that, to test it, see if it's well centered. So, well, the knife I'm gonna test today is the L.T.Wright knife. If you remember well, there was a time where a company called Blind Horse Knives existed. They split, and for a long time I did not have a lot of news about that, but I've checked the Genesis, which I like. This is the Genesis Scandi knife in A2 steel, 1/8 of an inch in thickness. I loved the design of this knife because it reminds me of the Bushcrafter that I've tested in the past, but it has that Keffert knife shape that I love. I basically am pretty fan of the very symmetrical knives shapes like these, and I love the Keffert design. I love all the designs that are pretty simple like this one. And well, the handle is green micarta, bed blasted. The blade is candy grind, as you can see on the close-ups, is zero ground, and then the very end is polished. All this polished, but the very end is, it seems to be just sharpened a little bit more. Mosquitoes are coming back. First thing I have to say is that the spine of this knife is amazingly sharp. It's really, I can scratch the coat, the upper coat of my nail with that one. So it has some uses aside from scraping a fire steel. When you have to clean some wood, I like to do that with the back of the knife instead of using the blade. So as I've said, usually in my steps, my protocol, I talk about the general cutting. General cutting, very well centered blade, cuts very well cheese, bacon, food. So string, I don't have string right here. Perhaps I have some paper. I have just touched it a bit, but you see, of course, some people will say it doesn't mind, it doesn't matter that it cuts paper. It's not a survival task, a bushcraft task, but it's great to see how sharp it is out of the box. Some people like their knives razor sharp. I like mine very sharp, and I like to maintain them. It's like a Zen activity to maintain them in such a state of great performances. And I usually like to polish all my blades or my edges to a mirror so that they hold a bit longer. Sometimes they don't cut as well into some materials because they are so polished, but I like them that way. Well, enough about the blade. The handle, I will talk a bit more about that later, but the shape of the handle it feels like a custom knife. You know, I love my Pathfinder school knife, the one with the kind of broomstick handle, because it was round, not round, oval, but in the hands, it feels the hands. It's not just round on the edges and then flat on top like most cheap knives. I say cheap knives, it's not cheap knives, not like production knives. But this one is really, for my hands at least, you have to test it before, but I cannot speak about anybody's else hand, but for my hand it fits very well, and you have that groove for the thumb that is really comfy for chores where you will be cross-chest cutting power cuts like those, or when you use it like I like to do by sticking the knife against the handle against the leg and doing feather sticks like that. So speaking of feather sticks, I'm just gonna try to see how those feather sticks perform in a few seconds. But the handle, really comfy, really well designed, round in the hand, feels sturdy, looks sturdy, cuts well for now. So I'm gonna test everything, and as I've said, first is the feather sticks. So I'm gonna reset everything and prepare for the feather stick sequence. So, well, feather sticks. I'm gonna check right now how it performs on some random piece of wood. So, how I like to do that. I'm just gonna clean. Oh. Okay, this is free-handed. I'm gonna test it. Okay, don't do that on your foot like I'm doing. Well, it's easier when you are not trying to get the shot right, because you don't care the angle, what the angle of the camera is. Okay, so I'm having some really nice one. This one was a bit too deep. If I have some very nice numbers of curls in here. Sometimes I miss them, as always, but tend to get them, but yeah. And as I'm doing that, I'm gonna do something that is usually a bit later, the fire still striking ability. So okay, as you can see, you have a nice shower of sparks, and you can make feather sticks that are fine enough to take on the second or third strike. It makes a huge shower of sparks. I'm gonna show you that once more. It removes some nice pieces of steel, of fire steel, and yeah, excellent. Does a very nice job. The blade is so sharp. It's really nice to make feather sticks with it. Still have to, as always, find my angle and get a bit more used to it. And as I'm changing knives pretty frequently, there is several knives I am really used to, but it's yeah, very easy to make the first feather sticks. I actually tried to do some yesterday already, and as you can see, it's it comes really in a very you have like so many curls on some of them. It's really a pleasure to make feather sticks with this knife. So it works well in a survival scenario. You would be able to make feather sticks and start a fire with that. Okay guys, so now I'm gonna do some battening. One thing I want to say, I don't say it that often in my videos, but I'm not an advocate of battening. I use this technique mostly because in a survival situation it could help you, and what I will say about that is that what I would do before making battening my stuff, my knife into a tree, I would find another piece of wood and would basically make a wedge out of it and use this wedge to split the wood instead, rather than risking ruining my blade for splitting wood. I test that because when I test video it's always interesting and some people really want to see that. I've included in my test because if someday I have a knife that fails at this task, it could be interesting to see it, but it's never gonna be the main point of battening of a knife. Battening is not really what a knife is designed for. So just so you know, I'm not a huge advocate of that. When I do battening, usually in the wild, it's for lighter stuff that I can batten with my hand, a glove, and do some light duty or try some smaller battening. But for this kind of activity I try to avoid battening heavier pieces of wood like that. So that was just not a disclaimer, but just so you know, battening is not really an activity designed for a knife. It shows the knife is tough, but if you can make a wedge instead of battening the knife in a survival situation, you will have a longer edge and you have less risk ruining your knife. So now let's see how this works out. very stable platform. See, this is the kind of light duty I'm considering using my knife, like so. If I can split without having to hit the blade, this is the way I'm battening most of the time, instead of using something else. But as you can see, it slices through the veins of the wood really easily, which is not surprising, even if the blade is narrower than most of the other knives in this size category that I've tried before. Okay, let's finish that. So I will consider the test is satisfying, and I have some nice wood to hit my coffee at the end of the video. And most of the time it's the heart of the wood I use for feather sticks. So okay, so for patterning it works. If you really have to in a survival situation, it works really well. The Scandi grind really separates the fiber, and no damage to the blade whatsoever. No border. Okay, so now let's see how it performs with some cross-cutting chores. This is as for the other batting test. We'll test it mostly because the shock lets you know how well it feels in the hand if you have hot spots and everything, but in a survival situation I will most of the time try to break the branches I need between two trees, two close trees, or between two rocks, or find a way to avoid doing that kind of task. This is purely for testing and knowing that if I had to, I would be able to use this technique. So let's see what kind of chunks this bad boy removes. Okay, what I can tell is that it slashes very well inside in the wood. It goes pretty deep. It's not a hefty knife. The balance on this one is it has a heavy handle. So see. Okay, the balance is pretty much here. I've tested holding it that way, a bit further, holding it a bit more like this. Any of this position is fairly comfy. The blade, the handle, even with the shocks, remains comfy in the handle. It doesn't slide. It doesn't slide out of the hand. So it's well designed, as the bottom of the blade is a bit bigger. It holds well. The micarta, sandblasted micarta, grips the knife well in the hand. So it's not a knife designed for chopping, but this test tells me that it's in the hand. It's really nice. Really, it holds, and it's comfy. At that point, I have had other knives that will already hurt my hand in a way or another. As always, it's my hand, so you have to try it for yourself. But it works well. No warp in the edge. The edge is still totally intact. Yeah, it's the blade holds very well so far. Very nice, and the Scandi bites pretty well in that wood, so it passes the cross-cutting test. Okay, so now I'm gonna build some trap to test a bit the comfort in hand and the notching capability of this. So as always, I'm gonna make a nice figure 4 trap, because I think it's a nice trap to know. I love to make it. It's simple. It has several kinds of notches and requires you to do some finer works. So let's check it out.
Our
So now is the time I get undressed. No, not really. Actually, I have to now speak about the sheath. Sheath. Leather sheath, apparently made by GRE Industries. I couldn't remember the name, sorry. GRE Industries, very nice leather, fits the knife really well. The retention is really good. It will probably get out at some point, but with realistic shakes, yeah, it hasn't moved at all. So you have a good retention of the leather. It's very thick leather. You have a very nice quality of leather. A dangler. This dangler is really good. It works well when you get in the car and the knife doesn't get in the way. But if you don't like a dangler, you can just take a penny, unscrew that and remove it, so you still have only the loop, or you can just hold it on your belt like that. Or if you want to carry it Baldric style, you can use those two grommets here, add a lanyard to the top and have it like so, for example in winter under your layers, or just if you want to have the knife out of the way and near your body. This is the way. You also have another grommet in here, so you have a very, very nice, with a double stitching sheath out of nice leather, and it comes with a fire steel loop that can hold with no problem the army size fire steel. This is a Light My Fire, for example. So this is nice, especially with a knife that can scrape a very nice spark. Now, the knife is still, I haven't used it very extensively enough right now to make a final conclusion about the sharpness. It has not been unsharpened from the badging tasks. The edge did not bend, and I've been pretty used to those knives for some time now. My experience with these knives in A2 from this company, you can really trust the tempering of the steel, unless you have a real problem somewhere. But you know, they are really well tempered. The blades are well done, well built, so you have something that is tough and will resist a lot of abuse, but also a lot of use. And my first knife from the company is still really sharp, very easy to resharpen, and basically, as it's some Scandi grind, you can for some time maintain the edge using only some stropping. It will be good enough. And other than that, if you use a stone, a sharpening stone, you make a zero grind by just laying the angle of the hone, yeah, where it's the bevel. You just put it flat and go back and forth until you feel a burr on one side, then change the side, and those are really easy to resharpen. You will probably lose a bit of the polish unless you use a very high grit stone, like a 10,000, 15,000 grit Japanese stone. but with a Japanese stone you will maintain it, and most of the time in the light duty sharpening you can do only using a leather belt. It will keep it honed, remove the burr, and keep it sharp in the field until you can find a better sharpening setup. So I love it. It cuts really well. The angle is really great on that blade. I can help myself, but yeah, I love Scandi grind, and yeah, for most tasks you will be very pleased with that knife. The shape is just perfect, and because you have basically the center aligned, you can have good drilling power for preparing your friction fire setup. You can really use the blade for very fine chores. Excuse me, don't remember how to speak English. And yeah, do I have something else to say? The handles are really awesome. You can really feel it's not done for badgening, but here it's just to see it doesn't move in the hand, so you have a very nice and firm grip on it. It fills the hand, very comfy. It's really rounded, so you have, you don't have some skin folds that will become red and have hurt you in the hand. So it's really, at least with my hands, it's really comfy. You can do power cuts very comfy. You don't have a square here that gets into the thumb. It's really well made, really comfy to use. You can choke on the blade to have very fine detail work in here. You can hold it, for example, pretty far for other chores if you need some light badgening or I don't know. You can really like, and I really like the shape of the handle. It reminds me, as I've said, of the Keffer design blade because of that very small guard here that does not go in the way, and also something you may not pick up well in the video, but the guard in here, the finger guard, is really small enough so you can basically just put your hand and be very comfy close to the edge. It's a very good all-round knife. I could call it a survival knife. It's more in the shape of a bushcraft knife, but as always, survival knives are the knives you have when you find yourself in a survival situation. You can probably, and with very little doubt, depend on such a knife. But it's a pleasure to use. I will use it more and more to continue getting a better feel of it for more tasks and see how it performs a bit further. But this is the first test, first look at it, and it's a wonderful knife. As I've said, I have had knives that in like less an hour would hurt my hand, would slip out of my hand in several chores, would turn in my hand, and this does not. It stays. If you decide the blade is here, it will not turn and move in the hand. It will stay firm. It's really, it grips well. Very nice knife. And this is the Scandi Genesis with micarta handle. Comes with the leather sheaths from GRR Industries, and the price tag is $175, I believe. So it's yeah, it's not I believe. You can check it on the website. I have the link here. Very nice knife, very nice sheath, very good bushcraft knife. No worries about that. So guys, if you have any specific question about the knife, don't hesitate to ask. I would be very happy to answer. The temperature is dropping, so we'll make a real quick fire, have some nice coffee before getting back home, and yeah, very pleased with the knife, very nice knife. Check them, L.T.Wright knives, Genesis Scandi grind in A2 steel.